Welcome to the Midwest Blitz. It's college football comfort food for the Midwest soul. Now, here are your hosts, Coach Drew and Big Nick.
Welcome to another episode of the Midwest Blitz. It is now week 2. Yup. Well, Nick, first off, let's just shout out Tom Bomb Media. That's also my cousin. He did a great job on the intro. Round of applause for Tom Bomb Media. If you guys have been enjoying that on the YouTube and Spotify, he's a friend of the show for sure, and hopefully we can work with him to make some other animations for our other stuff coming up as well.
I really love the work.
The work is great, for sure. Well, we're going to cover the top 25 to start off with, but we also have something very important this week. Nick, what's that very important thing that we're going to talk about later?
So this week, Drew, is the battle for the Cyhawk trophy between Iowa and Iowa State, a true corn-fed Midwest rivalry classic. And so we know during rivalry weeks that things can get a little heated, even between neighbors and friends and even family. People live in the same state, same neighborhood, same community. So what we've started here on the Midwest Blitz is what we call the Rivalry Pen Pal Program, where we're going to invite fans of rival teams to write letters to one another and share their feelings and try to find common ground. So we've encouraged fans to say something nice, but also, get their other feelings out in the open, so we can all talk about it in an open forum. Sounds like a good idea, right, Drew?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to start off this week with the Cyhawk when we get there in a second, but you guys are going to enjoy it. Nick does a great job reading the letters, I promise you. It's going to feel like the best thing since sliced butter, as they would say in the Midwest Blitz.
I'm so ready to read these letters.
He's so ready. Well, I'm going to hurry up through my thing then. So
Sorry,
real
Drew.
quick rundown.
Sorry, Drew.
You're all good. We're going to go through the rundown real quick of the AP 25. So I've been corrected like multiple times today. I heard a story today from a former band person who used to do stuff with Ohio State. The Ohio State
University.
Yeah, I was literally... And so the story goes, it's even funny because there was a Michigan fan right next to this person, had no idea, and she kept correcting me because I kept saying Ohio State. She's like, the Ohio State, because she was reprimanded and banned. And then the Michigan fan was like, okay, on the sixth or whatever you guys want to call it, all right, you got to cut it out. All right, it's just Ohio State. And I was literally like, this rivalry kind of goes into what the Cyhawk is, and this happened earlier today, and I'm just like fired up. They're number 1 now. They beat Texas. They took a jump, two leap up. Penn State stays at number 2. Oregon goes up 1. They were 7. They're now 6. Notre Dame did lose on Miami on a heartbreak, as we previously discussed. They dropped 3. Texas, Clemson, and Notre Dame all dropped. They're still in the top 10. They didn't take big hits. Illinois went up 1. They're now 11. We have Michigan. They actually dropped down 1 because Florida State's now in the party, Nick. They upsetted Alabama last week.
It's a hell of a party down there at Florida State right now. I only wish that Tom Petty was here to enjoy it. Rest in peace, Tom Petty. Go Seminoles.
And that's also Lee Corso's alumni. Also, shout out to Lee Corso again. We can't forget about him. Went perfect on all his weeks. I wish we didn't known the script before it was handed out to everybody. But Lee Corso definitely went perfect on the Vegas lines.
You can't ride into the sunset any better than that, Coach Drew. Lee Corso being perfect in his last week of picks. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so Michigan went down 1, and we talked about Florida State coming back into the AP 25. Florida State coming in there, Alabama going back. IU dropped 3. They were 20, now they're 23, and they won a game. What's going on, Nick? Do you have any thoughts about that? I know we're talking about rivalry week and being all riled up. I mean, they just got bumped down 3 and they won a game. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think that a lot of the people that vote in the polls would love to kick Indiana out for any reason because they're not a blue blood program. Some teams get to be ranked in the top 10 even if they sucked the year before. And if you're Indiana and you had a good year the year before, you win a game, you didn't win by as much as they thought you would. So some teams get to lose week 1 and stay the same in the polls, and other teams win and drop in the polls. But early season polls, just like preseason polls, don't mean anything. They're like recruiting stars, Coach Drew. How many points is a recruiting star worth? Absolutely 0. So these polls are fun to look at, but they don't mean that much.
And that's your insight from Nick. Well, that wraps up the AP 25 and the update. We're going to be doing that every week, continuing all the way till we get to the college football playoffs. Well, then we'll flip and switch gears to the college football rankings, which will be separate from the AP because then it doesn't matter as much. But the AP gives us a good gist of where everything's at right now. Well, now it's time to pan to our Rivalry Pen Pal program, hosted by Big Nick. Go ahead, Nick. I'll let you go.
So we started the Rivalry Pen Pal program to bring fans together. So here, let's open the first letter. It's nice to get snail mail, Drew. You know, it's like it really comes from the heart from these fans. So
Yep.
our first letter is from Iowa fan Hawkeye Todd, who writes, Dear Cyclone. Oh, wait, no, he didn't write Cyclone. Dear Cyclown fans. That might be a typo. Here, we'll keep going. Since we're both from the same state, and it would be better for the Hawkeye strength of schedule to root for you and have a better record, I still can't bring myself to root for you to win. You're lucky Kansas State handed you that game in Ireland last week or 2 weeks ago, or you would be coming into this game unranked. Congratulations on your program's first ever 10-win season last year. I guess even a blind pig finds an ear of corn once in a while. Your fans have been pretty confident on social media this week. You need to remember, the Hawkeyes haven't lost in your stadium since 2011, and that streak will continue on Saturday. And I hope you never forget, your boy Brock Purdy went 0-3 as a starter against the Iowa Hawkeyes. He should thank Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle for that big contract he just got, because they make him look way better than he really is. I have a favor to ask. Could you guys avoid another marching gate scandal this year? Marching band gate scandal? I didn't really know about this, Drew. It seems like the only Hawkeyes you feel comfortable hitting on are in the marching band. Is it normal for you guys to verbally and sexually harass members of the other team's marching band? This is our
rough.
first time reading these letters. It's kind of tough to get through. It's getting a little ugly.
Everybody remembers their first time, Nick. You're all right.
Lastly, we all know Herky the Hawk would kick Cy's ass. Drew, I think those are the mascots. Saturday should be fun. Right. Saturday should be fun with Fox Big Noon kickoff on campus. The last 2 times College Game Day was in Ames, the celebrity guests were both from Iowa. Oh yeah, Iowa State doesn't have any celebrities from their school. At least ones who would show their face on television. This is getting a little ugly, Drew. Continues, good luck on Saturday, but you won't be hearing Sweet Caroline after the game, which, by the way, is the worst victory song ever. You stole that from a couple of other teams, and you know it. Signed, Hawkeye Todd, a true Cyclown hater.
There you go.
Drew, that was kind of hard to read. I'm not sure this is going the way we wanted it to, but...
I mean, I think that was a beautifully written letter. I think it showed a lot of character, and, you know, that's how letters all should be.
The penmanship was excellent.
Yeah, very beautiful.
I think
so we got another letter, huh?
We have another heartfelt letter from one of these wonderful people from Iowa. I've raved on the Midwest Blitz about how people from Iowa are the sweetest, kindest people I've ever met. I mean, I work with them. I've lived next door to them. So I know that there's some kind of love and friendship that could come out of these letters. So let's check out our letter from our Iowa State friend of the program. Cyclone Nate, who writes, Dear Iowa fans, I know we've had our differences in the past, but I'm glad Iowa is starting to accept the fact that they are the little brother in the state of Iowa. I'd like to give Iowa a huge shout out for bringing recognition to the punter position. Iowa's punter got so much playing time last year that people are finally realizing punters are people too. My favorite memory from last season was us being able to beat you on a game-winning field goal because Captain Kirk was too dumb after 100 years of coaching to just kick an extra point in the third quarter. Instead, he decided to take 0 points on a failed 2-point attempt. Oh, I have a question for you Iowa fans. What's it feel like for Iowa basketball to make the Sweet 16? You probably can't remember because it was before Y2K. This is getting ugly, Drew.
It's fighting words.
Yeah, they are. He goes on to write, Sure, we both had our issues in the past. Both teams have had gambling scandals. But prior to that, Iowa coaches were sued for, I want to emphasize, Midwest Blitz listeners, that we didn't write these letters. We're just reading them between warring fan bases. Iowa coaches have been sued for discriminating against certain people in Iowa. Iowa State Stadium is named after Jack Trice, who was an African-American Cyclone football player and a beloved legend in Ames, Iowa. After Saturday will be 3 out of 4 years that you couldn't beat your big brother. Glad we had this chat. Signed, Cyclone Nate.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Drew? That was, I don't know if that went as well as I wanted it to.
Well, I will say Iowa has done a great job of punting. Being a Bears fan, we did take their kicker a couple of years ago. So, I mean, that has been a theme. And me covering Iowa, I do understand they don't move the ball a lot. There's a lot of animosity. I'm loving it. I'm getting fired up. We're at the Cyhawk. This is big noon's going to be there. Yes, Nick, go ahead.
Special teams is nothing to be ashamed of, Iowa fans. So I just want to throw that out there.
As one person famously said, special teams, special plays, special people. Something like that. So we're at the Cyhawk. We've made it. Week 2. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. Week 0, we passed Farmageddon. Now we have another one. I consider Iowa State the stepchild to the Midwest Blitz. Maybe they be officially adopted, and we just call them a child after this. Iowa's going into Ames. It's 129 miles away. That's the difference. That's the markers that they've calculated from point A to point B. If you're in Iowa and you don't see any trucks, or well, actually you probably see trucks and no cars, it's because these Iowans, if that's how you call them, are glued to the TV watching this game. This game is for everybody who's ever been in Iowa is going to watch this. You either pick one team or the other. You're either red team or blue team, and you root. I'm sure classrooms right now, school classrooms are picking teams. Teachers are fighting each other that, went to the certain schools. I mean, this hate week is on the level of Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State against Michigan in Iowa this week with the Cyhawk. Nick, what do you think? Big Noon's going to be there. What are some insights you got about this game?
I want to thank Iowa and especially Iowa State for playing a rivalry game, and the Cyclones playing 2 of them in the first 3 weeks of the season, including week 0. This is so fun to talk about, and this is a true Midwest corn-fed rivalry, the battle for the Cyhawk Trophy. Last year's installment of this classic Midwest rivalry saw Coach Ferentz opt to go for a 2-point attempt in the third quarter to go up 19-17 after the attempt was unsuccessful, as happened to be mentioned in Cyclone Nate's letter earlier in the show. So the game ended in a Cyclones field goal with 5 seconds left. Cyclones win 20-19, a loss for the Hawkeyes, a true heartbreaker that will certainly live on in the memories of both fan bases. to last a lifetime. So this, similar to Farmageddon, which we covered going into week 0, is one of these rivalries that, is this just an Iowa State thing? Is this, they're the Cyclones, it's tornado country. It's a one possession game almost every time. It's ugly. It's never a clean game. This is not some Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady Monday Night Football matchup where you have Cadillac athletes doing Cadillac things. This is both teams come in thinking they're going to win. Both teams end up being and looking a little dirty by the end, and that's honestly what makes it fun. So when the Iowa offense takes the field against Iowa State's defense, I know Iowa will be able to run the ball behind this monster offensive line featuring offensive tackle Jennings Dunker and center Logan Jones, who made Feldman's freak list, if you guys are familiar with that. This is one of the freakiest, big, strong, quick offensive linemen in the country, and Logan Jones, and Jennings Dunker is going to play in the NFL too. So the run game's not a question for Iowa. My question is, can South Dakota State transfer Mark Gronowski improve on his week 1 passing numbers and provide an extra spark to this Iowa offense with his legs, which in the preseason, when we did Big Ten previews, me and Drew, after watching film of this kid, we both think that he is a dynamic player, and he's not just like some slender, pretty boy running quarterback. This guy's almost like a Tim Tebow fullback playing quarterback in terms of his strength and physicality. And he's not slow.
He did absorb somebody last week.
Jiminy Christmas, did he ever? Yeah, this kid is strong. So we like Gronowski, but can he add that spark to the Iowa offense, which we know can grind it out 3 yards, cloud of dust, end around, jet sweep, trick play, maybe here or there. They need Gronowski to give them a little bit in the passing game, enough to open it for him to run a little bit. And that's what we're looking for from the Iowa offense. The Cyclones defense was very effective defending a mobile quarterback against Kansas State. Now, the Kansas State quarterback did have a rushing touchdown in the red zone, but it's hard to account for QB run in the red zone. But overall, he didn't have that many passing yards. So I feel like the Cyclones are at least prepared for schematically defending the running quarterback. I'll get to my conclusion at the end of this. So when the Cyclones take the field on offense, they had a very balanced attack against Kansas State in week 0, the Farmageddon matchup that we talked about here on the Midwest Blitz. And the balanced offense of Iowa State kept Kansas State off balance. Iowa State lost some stud receivers. They lost their best receivers. They do have solid receivers right now, but they don't have one guy that you're necessarily scared is going to beat you by himself, who's like some monster one-on-one cover. But the running game and the passing game complemented each other for Iowa State. So this is likely a one-possession game that's going to go down to the wire. This is my thought, Coach Drew, and I'll let you do your breakdown after this. Iowa's margin for error is small in this game. Could Iowa win this game? Yes. Is it likely that Iowa could win this game by 2 touchdowns? Probably not. I don't see that with the limited passing potential that we've seen so far. I've got the Cyclones in a home game, winning by 1 score. Maybe it's a field goal. Ilas had the spread at, you'll tell me what the spread is here in a second, 3.5. I got the Cyclones money line at home. I'm not touching the spread with a 10-foot pole because last I checked, it was 3.5. Iowa could lose by a field goal, and I don't think this will shock anybody. For Iowa to win this game, they need a big special teams play, or they need Gronowski to do something through the air that we didn't see last week. Drew, what do you think?
Well, yeah, they're going to need something special. As I took Iowa to be a sleeper agent in the Big Ten, for them to continue to be the sleeper agent, possibly college football playoff bound team, they have to beat the number 16 Iowa State Cyclones. That has to happen first. Being a degenerate better and also a pirate, I also remember this game pretty well. I didn't know the name of it. I just see Iowa versus Iowa State. I see Big Ten and Iowa State, and I go, I'm going to bet Iowa. That's a low spread, blah, blah, blah. Well, in the past, yes, this game has been always close. No matter what the spread is, no matter if Iowa's won, no matter if Iowa State's ranked one, whether each team has a ranked high, ranked low, far and small, this game is always close. This is a rivalry, right? And anytime you hear that, things can go south very bad, quickly. And that's what Iowa's dealing with right now. One of their main wide receivers, Vanderzee's out. Okay. Another big contributor to their offense, Moulton's out with a shoulder injury. They're gonna be leading on with Patterson with a 1-2 punch with Williams. Now Williams is a freshman, okay? And this guy coming into this situation, let's first talk about him. Shout out to the Midwest Blitz. He's actually from the region, Northwest Indiana. He used to go to Lake Central, right? Region rat. Big shout out to this guy, right? Hands in the air like we don't care down at the Midwest Blitz, okay? He had over 100 plus yards last week and a scoring touchdown, right? As being of a homie in the area, I have to take Iowa to win this game for a multitude of reasons. And I'll let you go back into that, Nick, of what you think is going to happen. 4 out of the 5 road teams win, right? This is who's ever on the road for whatever reason has the advantage. Don't know why. It's Stranger Things. It's the Midwest, right? Upside down. It doesn't make sense, right? Any better will tell you always ride with the home team, but not today. Iowa has a plus 3.5. I'm going to take that because I think Gronkowski is going to open up. He's going to have more than 44 yards. Williams is going to take care of the ball. Patterson going to take care of the ball. They're going to actually show this offense that we've been all talking about. It's been sleeping. That's why they're a sleeper agent. Their defense, way better than Iowa State, in my opinion. They're going to take care of it. That's why I'm okay taking that Iowa State spread. I'll put 2 units on it. That's what I feel like, Nick. What do you feel like? You don't have to say any units, just what you feel.
So you got Iowa plus 3.5. Is that what you got, Coach Drew?
Yep.
It's not a bad bet. And you're right. The home and away in this rivalry has not seemed to matter as much as it does, across the average, across the board. The home team definitely has an advantage. But, I mean, we saw Michigan, Ohio State last year. That made no sense. And I thought it made no sense 4 or 5 years ago when Michigan broke the streak against Ohio State. That was actually a home game for Michigan. Yeah, my hesitation to bet Iowa is that the Cyclones can change gears. Their passing game is more proven. They got Rocco Becht. Cyclone fans, I don't need to say much about Becht. I don't have to say anything to the Iowa fans either. As much as you may or may not like him, the kid's definitely a baller. Another guy I'd like to see on an NFL roster. I mean, I don't know. He's not super high on the draft boards right now, but I mean, I think this kid's a player, a competitor. And so Iowa State can run the ball pretty well, but they also have a veteran quarterback who's got a proven track record throwing the ball. I want to see Gronowski do well at Iowa. I think regardless of whether Iowa wins this game, the Hawkeyes are in for an 8-win season probably. So, despite what we said in the past, this is not a hate on the Iowa Hawkeyes thing. Here's my thing too. The Cyclones have already been through one of these rivalry games and had 2 weeks off. And Iowa had to go out last week and play ground and pound against Sisters of the Poor. I think if I had to pick in a rivalry game, the team that had a bye week and has already been through one battle and won the battle against another rival, I feel like Iowa State's just in a really good position to be ready to win this football game, which is going to be a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, either way, it's going to be Big Noon. Big Noon kicks off, so you already know we're rocking with Fox, right? Turn on this game. I'm telling you, you're not going to miss anything. It's going to be on at 11 a.m. You guys can catch that on Fox, right? It's 11 a.m. Central Time. Anytime I say that, and then noon, Big Noon with Coach Nick over there
Noon
in
Eastern time. Yeah.
Big Noon Eastern Time. Do you got anything else you want to add to this awesome rivalry before we go to the next game?
I'm
I mean, I feel like we could
freaking
be here for
pumped.
hours.
I don't want to piss off my Hawkeye friends. With Iowa State already coming out big in the season opener in a tough game, I just
Which
have
was a great
trouble.
game we covered.
Yes, on the Midwest Blitz, Farmageddon was amazing. We had the corns out and everything. I got Cyclones money line. That's all I can say.
Okay. And Coach Drew has Iowa with the spread. All right. So now we're going to head a little bit into Coach Drew's family, where we say Iowa.
Noise.
And he goes, noise, crickets. Iowa. There you go. I thought we were going to actually let crickets roll there. I know that's a little hard for you. At least he was better than Dave Poyno. He didn't start singing Hoosiers fight song. I thought we were going to have Illinois, Indiana borderline fight here. At least he's being a good sport here. We're going to do some funny stuff to each other. For many of you, there is times where we like teams and then we don't like teams. But we come on here and we put on our happy face and we smile in front of the camera to tell you guys good things. So we're always looking out for what's best for the Midwest Blitz.
It's all about you
at the end of the day, we're all the Midwest Blitz. All right. So we got Illinois and Duke. Duke's opening up their Illinois number 11 traveling to Duke. Duke is plus 2.5 on the spread, right? We got our boy Aldemeyer. He's looking like a dog. He was slinging it the other day against the Sisters of the Blind. And I feel like his offensive line was taking care of the ball, or taking care of him to let him take care of the ball. The run game was there. Very fluid offense. Brebolino was getting the defense going. It looks like old Wisconsin when Wisconsin was dominant. Nick, what do you got to say about this game?
Well, Coach Bielema and the Illini, they get a lot riding on this game. So unlike my Hoosiers, they have a legit Power 4 team to play in the non-conference, and they have to go on the road to play it. And mad respect and a mad shout out to Bielema and the boys for going down to North Carolina to play the old Dukies, the old Blue Devils. So Coach Bielema is going to take Luke Altmaier, absolute stud of a quarterback, and a balanced, this comes up later, a balanced offensive attack to play the Blue Devils in this road game. So Duke week 1 against Elon, which is their in-state Sisters of the Poor punching bag, was a pass-happy offense in the blowout. Transfer portal quarterback Darian Mensah had 380 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, had 4 carries for minus 10 yards. That included 2 sacks. So I bring up the sacks and the carries numbers to indicate that in the past he has been successful as a running quarterback, but they didn't have many design runs for him in this week 1 opener against Sisters of the, Elon. But is a threat with his legs. Duke is going to be without all ACC safety Terry Moore, who suffered a torn ACL in their bowl game against Ole Miss last January. But they do have highly touted and badass cornerback Chandler Rivers, who's going to be an NFL guy. We're going to see him on Sunday at the cornerback position. So they're down a man as far as their all-star players in the Duke secondary. I've got no question that Bielema and that offensive line, that Joe Moore Award candidate offensive line, for those of you that don't know, the Joe Moore Award is for the best offensive line in the country. It's for the offensive line that serves up pancakes and kicks ass up front, protects quarterbacks, allows running backs lanes to run the ball. This offensive line for Illinois is going to protect their quarterback, Luke Altmaier. They're also going to provide running space, and they're going to be balanced. Maybe not balanced in terms of attempts, but balanced in terms of yardage. They're not going to throw the ball first and second down incomplete and go 3rd and 10. They're going to stay in phase offensively against this Duke defense. I think that the Illinois offensive line has the advantage against the Duke defensive front, who teed off on Elon, but is going to have a harder task this week facing the Illini. on the other side of the ball, we already talked about Duke being pass heavy last week, but having a quarterback who's capable of using his legs. I think that All-American linebacker Gabe Yakas for Illinois and the rest of that Illini defensive front are going to put a lot of pressure on the ball against Duke, a lot of pressure on the quarterback, a lot of pressure in the running game that they didn't face last week. I think that the 45 points that Duke scored last week against Elon is fool's gold. I think if you actually watch the way the game went, this was a close game through the third quarter. And then when Elon got demoralized at the end, Duke started pitching the ball around the yard, and then you run the score up, and then you look like a badass at the end. They really did not beat up on this Elon team. If you just looked at the score and glanced at the box score, you don't understand what a hard time Duke had running the ball. Elon actually had success running the ball at times throughout the game. So this Duke defensive front is not exceptional. I'll just say that. If Elon could run the ball, the Illini are going to run the ball. If Elon could get pressure on the quarterback at times, which they did, Illinois is going to be able to do that. And not to mention, Torrey Cox and Matt Bailey in the secondary for Illinois, absolute studs, are probably going to make a trip to the no-fly zone this week and make it really hard on this Duke quarterback. I got Illini on the road, point spread for sure. That's where I'm at, Coach Drew.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If we were covering this game in February and it was basketball, and I hear Illinois is playing Duke, man, I'm going crazy because that's a good basketball matchup. Those are two blue bloods in basketball that are playing each other. But now you're looking at it from a different perspective, a different lens. It's football, right? Duke's football program, in my opinion, had a really good time when they're under Riley Leonard. Last year, they also did a good job as well. This year, how long is Duke going to stay stable in this successful era that they're having as far as football program? Well, again, like you said, I rewatched that film when they played, was it Elon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say it? They played Elon, and when they were playing this program, if you look at the box scores, which probably many of you did, you'll see that Elon got blown out. But in reality, the two scores that Duke had, one was it was a
punt
it was
return.
a punt return. One was a slam. One of the scores that Duke had was he went straight up the middle. It was a dive, and then he just said skirt to the right. It looked like something on college football. Broke away and scored. And then another one where dude did a counter, went to the left side, and then banged it and blew past the free safety, and nobody was in the backfield. It was big plays. Duke did not take care of that game well. Illinois, on the other hand, they took care of business at home. They're both home teams. So you're looking at the comparison there. And again, Illinois is competing to play in the college football playoffs. So is Duke and everyone else, and that sounds rhetorical. But I feel like Illinois is trending up, and they have momentum since last year, since, the whole South Carolina situation. And Duke had to retool and had to do things differently. They're going to be slow with their transfers as Illinois retain more of their players. That's why I also favor Illinois covering the spread on a road game going to Duke. So we covered that. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we move on to the next game?
I think the expectations are just too high for Coach Bielema and this Illini team to go in and lay an egg here. I think that Bielema realizes the difficulty of this non-conference road game, and he's been prepping for it as much as he can in the offseason. Transfer quarterback or not, coaching staff changes, whatever. This Illini team is going to be loaded for bear in this game.
Yeah, they know what they're doing for sure. So it wouldn't be the Midwest Blitz unless we bring in some Mac-ation, right? Maction. I said Mac-ation. Some action. We gotta have some action here. As we're going through the games, one stood out at me the most. It's the returning MAC champs, Ohio. They're gonna be at home defending on their home turf against West Virginia, where they only cover they are supposed to lose by 3.5 spread. Did you see that, Nick?
Oh, I saw it. My friend.
And when we're looking at this, we're telling ourselves, okay, you have a team like Ohio playing West Virginia. West Virginia is known for being a football program. I don't know if you guys knew this from the Midwest Blitz. If you guys ever seen the movie Marshall, West Virginia was a powerhouse back in once upon a time. Not so much anymore, but they still do their things here and there. And West Virginia is traveling to Ohio, a MAC school with Parker Navarro, our favorite MAC quarterback right now, or one of them at least, right? We don't want to pick too many favorites. Do you want to give us some insight there, Nick?
Drew, I just thought about this. Instead of going right into the breakdown, I'm going to pull my crayons out and draw a little picture of something. Well, I won't show it to the viewing audience because it might be offensive, but imagine if you threw a firecracker on a roulette table and then decided to gamble on it. That adds a little extra spice to the equation, right?
Yeah.
So, Coach Rich Rodriguez pioneered the spread offense that includes QB run and all of these RPOs and all this 15 years ago. And I got to see it live because I guess I'm getting old. Everyone keeps telling me that. He is now back with the Mountaineers. And so last week, West Virginia demolished Robert Morris to the tune of almost 600 yards of total offense. They used two different quarterbacks throughout the game, and not just one they subbed in at the end. They subbed in a guy who was a little bit more athletic as a runner, but both quarterbacks are capable in the run game. If you look at the stats from the game, the starting quarterback ran a good amount, and then the backup quarterback, the other quarterback came in for like goal line, red zone type looks where he could threaten with his legs. So we look at a West Virginia team who beat the stuffing out of a punching bag last week. But I noticed they had 4 fumbles in the first half, West Virginia did. So when you run this Rich Rod offense, there is a lot of ball handling that happens that if it works, it looks fantastic. It's like running a fast break offense in basketball. When you score 10 points in a row, you look great. When you turn the ball over 4 times in a row, you look like dog shit. So we don't really have a guarantee about what the Rich Rod offense will look like this week, but we do know that it's a dynamic offense that contains a lot of risk, and you got a new coach and a new system in place at West Virginia, but they definitely have some offense. What we saw last week here on the Midwest Blitz was Parker Navarro come in with a commanding performance at Rutgers, and I think Rutgers has a good roster. Now, some people say Rutgers, they've struggled in the Big Ten the last couple of years. Greg Schiano thinks that Rutgers has the best roster he's had since he's been back there in the last 5 or so years. So Rutgers is not a weak team Ohio, led by Parker Navarro at quarterback, who was the best player on the field in that game. Parker Navarro is going to prevent problems for this West Virginia defense that they did not face in week 1 against Robert Morris. I think this is going to be a close game, but like I said at the beginning with the firecracker on the roulette table, this West Virginia offense is capable of busting you open if you're not fundamentally sound. But I thought Ohio's defense looked good last week against Rutgers. Rutgers quarterback threw well. They had a strong running game that didn't overpower the Bobcats. I really like Ohio in this game, especially getting points at home. And if West Virginia can't hang on to the ball any better than they did last week, I see a Bobcat win here, Drew.
A Bobcat win? A MAC win? At home? I'm looking at this the same way too. And we're not just being homies about the situation. This MAC team, this Bobcat team won the MAC title last year. They had a successful time. And it would be different if we're looking at them, if they had a new quarterback, a new system, everything. But no, they're returning Parker Navarro. And they put up their dukes against Rutgers. There was a couple miscues what they had against Rutgers, and they may win that game.
If
Right?
Ohio did not have a muffed punt special teams situation in this game, they easily could have taken the win on the road in Piscataway last week against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So, yeah, I feel good about Ohio at home. And also, I think that Ohio might have a pretty good crowd for this game bringing in a Big 12 opponent. It's a big time, it's a big time atmosphere for a non-con MAC home game. This isn't like, a lot of MAC teams are taking a paycheck to go on the road and maybe take some lumps. I feel like it's going to be a good atmosphere. I like the Bobcats, Drew.
Yeah, I like the Bobcats too. I mean, I saw tickets as high as $100, for this game. They're really hyping this up. It's gonna be a packed house. Over here at over here at the Midwest Blitz, we like to put units on games, and this is my unit. This is my representation of the unit, and I'm gonna put this unit onto the table here, and I'm gonna tell Vegas, look, let's take Ohio money line, and let's just roll with it, baby. Why not?
You like the odds better on the money line, Drew?
I like the odds better on the money line because when you're at +3.5, you really think they're gonna win that game or keep it close, right? I feel like the money line's there. If you're gonna bet a unit, might as well throw it there. All I gotta say is this is a Pirates bet. This isn't no okay, we're gonna cover the spread. This is not for the faint of heart. Whenever you're betting on MAC teams, you gotta find your inner R and find that pirate in you to place these bets. Because like we did last week, we solved the problem, right? But maybe you're still trying. Maybe you're still at Party City, or I don't think Party City is a place anymore. Maybe you're at Spirit of Halloween and you're still trying to find your pirate costume. You can still place that one itsy bitsy unit on the spread and play it safe.
Coach Drew's got his gold coins out, and we did hit on Ohio plus points at Rutgers last week. This Ohio team's no joke.
It is not a joke at all. Well, Nick, do you got anything else to add to that game?
Go Bobcats. That's all I have to say.
And I'm sure all the Michigan fans turned it off when we talked about Rich Rodriguez. But
100%.
But now they should turn it back on if they're looking at our chapters, because now we're heading to where College Game Day is going to be. We're going to be traveling to Oklahoma, where Michigan takes on Oklahoma. How do we feel about this game? There's so much riding on this game. So much. We got a Cyhawk game early, and then we got this game also as well going on, and this one's the nightcap. It looks like I got 6:30 my time, 7:30 your time on ABC. So this is gonna be a fun one. So this week you get to enjoy the Cyhawk. You get to have a few beers, have a good lunch, right? Maybe an early dinner, maybe having a great time. You won some money, and then you get to settle in, pony up, saddle up, ride Oklahoma, right? And you get to watch Michigan and Bryce Underwood, the superstar, take over. Go ahead, Nick.
Michigan plus 4.5, last I checked the line, at Oklahoma on Saturday will be a sweet matchup. Sharon Moore takes his Wolverines into Norman to face his alma mater, along with five-star quarterback Bryce Underwood, who looked really good last week. I thought this kid throws on the run so smooth. I mean, it's like he's born to do it. I mean, we see young quarterbacks in first starts that are highly touted coming in. I thought he looked really good last week. I thought Michigan had a good game plan for him last week. Brett Venables and the Sooners also have a new quarterback that they brought in a combo deal. They brought in offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle and his quarterback John Mateer from Washington State. This Mateer kid is pretty big, runs really well, definitely throws the ball well, has a little bit of the reading defenses and operating in the pocket, looking people off with his eyes, somewhat like we saw from Carson Beck. He's not as much of an in-the-pocket guy, but definitely a veteran that's got a lot of game experience. So when the Michigan offense takes the field against the Sooners defense, I've got some thoughts, some questions. What happens for Michigan if and when the run game stalls against one of the best defensive lines in the country, as rated by our good friend Phil Steele? Michigan is, again, like I said earlier about Iowa, they've got a good offensive line. They have a good running game. They are going to be effective in the run game, but not so effective that they're not going to be put in some difficult third and long, third and medium situations. So we have a true freshman quarterback in this game in his first first difficult start in his first road start against a Oklahoma Sooners defense that is supposed to be pretty good, especially the defensive front. And that's what you want as an Oklahoma fan, is to see this athletic rising star, highly touted quarterback be put in difficult down and distance situations. When the Oklahoma offense takes the field, I'll say this. The Oklahoma offensive line allowed 50 sacks last year, and they rushed at a clip of 3.9 yards per carry, which is not great. Well, that offensive line for Oklahoma has 4 starters back, but they also have a new offensive coordinator and a solid mobile quarterback. So I bring up last year's sack numbers and the fact that they have 4 guys back to say this. You have a mobile quarterback, which in theory reduces the sacks that you will allow because the guy can evade the rush and do different things. You can run different plays to keep the defense off balance. But I think maybe this Michigan defensive front is they have a chance to tee off on Mateer a little bit and make the Oklahoma offense uncomfortable. So can this Oklahoma offensive line hold up against a maize and blue defense that's loaded for bear? Although Jayshon Barnum will be out for the first half after his disqualification for helmet-to-helmet contact on the quarterback last week, which some people found controversial. I'll say this about that situation. We've known for a long time in football now that you can't hit quarterbacks helmet to helmet. Way back when we rode dinosaurs to school, I used to hit quarterbacks helmet to helmet when I played. That used to be a thing. That used to be cool. Everybody knows you're not allowed to do that now. And the penalty is written. So I think that the suspension is fair, whether you thought how hard he hit him, how hard he didn't hit him. He clearly hit the quarterback helmet to helmet. But so Jayshon Barnum, one of the best defenders for Michigan, is out. But that Michigan defense is deep up front. I think that they've got guys that can step in for a half and fill Barham's shoes, at least to enough of a degree that it's not going to cost them the game. I think Rayshon Benny and the Wolverine defensive line might be licking their chops against this Oklahoma offensive line. What do you think, Coach Drew?
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, so the Oklahoma quarterback Mater, he did really well last week, right? Did everything he needed to do. Brent Venable used to be part of the Clemson staff as a coach. He's been waiting for this moment, being with the Oklahoma Sooners. Texas got their chance last year to do something in the SEC. Oklahoma's going to try to do that. Texas has already lost the game with Arch Manning this year. Oklahoma's opening it up. My game plan that I have for Michigan traveling to Oklahoma with a young quarterback on the road, right, is they're going to feed Haynes, the running back. He had 159 yards and 3 touchdowns, right? Now, was that because the defense played so well and did create turnovers? Absolutely. But that's part of the game. The defense is going to do things. They're going to keep them interested. I mean, I'm watching Bryce Underwood, and he just looks so calm, collected, and he's throwing the ball around. There's a lot of hype for this 5-star. He's proving why he is a 5-star in a good way. Now, Oklahoma has been known for having quarterbacks not too long ago, Heisman winners and top draft picks. So they know a thing or two about quarterbacks. But it's really going to be who's going to win in the trenches for both teams is going to take over. Because if Bryce Underwood gets a lot of pressure, who knows? He might throw it into the defense, right? Or Mater, right? He might be riding that coattail too hard. But the Michigan defense is always retooling, even though they'll have their whole defensive drafted. They'll still get guys that transfer in, and they still have guys in depth to then step into those roles. How about that, Nick?
Well, one thing that Michigan did really well last week against a lesser opponent, but nonetheless, is that I see built into their game plan is to allow Underwood, as we talked about in our game review from this past weekend, they're going to allow Underwood opportunities in the scheme to move to the edge where he has an option to throw or run. And it's up to him to make the read if, when, and where to do that. But the good thing about that is I don't think they're going to drop Underwood back the way, say, Arch Manning was last week as a young quarterback. where he's just sitting back there like, a sitting duck and then having to make all these decisions. I think the reads are going to be clean for Underwood this week, and the opportunity for him to beat you with his legs will be there. And Oklahoma will have to account for that. That's going to set up play action. That's going to set up possible RPOs and things of that nature. So I feel pretty good based on what I saw from Underwood last week that Michigan's going to have a game plan to protect him this week.
Yeah, and this is the first real matchup against each other. I think they're gonna move him out of the pocket, probably get him comfortable early. They can really rely on their run game, which a lot of people criticize JJ McCarthy, the quarterback that's now with Minnesota in the NFL, that JJ McCarthy, all he can do is hand off the ball. JJ, and that was one of the things too. So it's interesting to have Bryce Underwood. I actually thought it was kind of funny. They were comparing Bryce Underwood to the quarterback last year, Warren, and they were trying to describe going back and forth how he actually might be a better quarterback than Bryce Underwood. And it's just basically these old heads because they're not used to seeing a quarterback just sling a football. There was a joke where like he throws a football pass literally forward and the guy runs all the way out and gains 1 yard and he's all hyped up about it. And then they show Bryce Underwood looks like something you're seeing at like a pickup football game where he just slings the football and it goes ew, and the guy catches it. I mean, this Bryce Underwood is something special and it's definitely an upgrade. I think Michigan fans live in this like realm. I just think it's old people who live in this realm that like quarterbacks can have a little swagger to them with their
They
throws now.
somebody thought Warren Davis, I believe is his name. They thought that he might be better than Bryce Underwood.
For this offense, apparently something crazy like that. It was more satire than anything, but it's like,
Okay.
yeah, it
All
wasn't
right.
actually somebody saying that. It was more satire. It was somebody making like a video of it, and the video again, like I said, the video shows like I guess like people like it's like baseball, right? It's like, oh, you step and you swing and you move your body and you do this thing, golf, you do this, you do that, and then it's like
And you do the thing with your shoulder and with your hips, and yeah.
Yeah. And they talk about football. You drop three, you throw it, you got to have your hands high. You don't drop your hands. There's so many, there's so many people that think they're experts on these things because they played Pop Warner or they played Little League somewhere of a nature in football, baseball, hockey. And then they watch somebody, they go, that guy's not professional or that guy can't compete. And then Bryce Underwood's over here, like, balling out and throwing the ball everywhere, like, it's his business, and it is his business to take care of the ball and throw it everywhere.
It should be his business as much as they're paying him to be there, but I think the kid looked good week one. Drew, I hope I'm not busting the show up. I think I saw this is their first meeting since 1975. Did you see that?
Yeah, this is like an old matchup, 1975. That takes me back way back before I was born, and Coach Nick also as well. So we can't remind you the last time we saw this.
Fun matchup between blue blood programs that we haven't seen in a really long time, and maybe the second meeting ever. If I'm wrong, someone blast me in the comments and help me recall correctly. But I think this is their second all-time meeting. The first one was in 1975.
Yeah, and I think Oklahoma was probably in the SWAC back then, the old SWAC.
Might have been the Big 8 conference, which was the precursor to the Big 12. But anyway.
Yeah, old school stuff. Like there was the Pac-8, and there was the Pac-12, and there was Pac-10.
And there was the AFL and the NFL, and then they merged to create the blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I put my old man hat on there for a second.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, this is going to be out before the NFL season, but we got Thursday action in the NFL. Then there's an NFL game in Brazil, and we also have NIU plays on Friday, and then on Saturday we have all these games. We have football on Sunday, football on Monday. You got us on the recap. Then you're right back into the action again on week 3. I mean, we got football every day. I mean, I know you're rough in the games and everything. I mean, we're football loaded right now. This is football season.
I used to hope that I could drown in football if I had to choose, Drew, you ever play the game? If you had to die, how would you die? Right now, I'm drowning in football. And honestly,
what a fun game to play in the Midwest.
If I have to die, I will drown in football. And I'll do it for you guys. You're on the Midwest Blitz.
Yeah, in the Midwest, we don't play the if I had $1 million, how would I live my life? We play
No.
how would I just die and end it right now? Let's just get it over with. Because, we just chuck corn all the time and we have to just mow our lawns. That's all we do in the Midwest for all you city folks.
That's why I bought a condo. I'll never mow grass again.
Absolutely. Well, there's some other games that are going around. I'm just going to run through those real quick. Penn State's playing FIU. That's number 2. We got number 1, the Ohio State playing Grambling. Don't get confused with Georgia. Georgia's not playing a new scheme of stuff. We also have Oregon playing Oklahoma State. That has a questionable spread. From a gambler degenerate, I might put Oklahoma State to cover that because that's a big spread on the road, and I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about that. I have a pirate feeling about that. And that's about it. Another one, if you guys are tracking the bets at home, UCLA has a +2.5 against UNLV, and UNLV has troubles with dual quarterbacks, and they don't know what they're doing playing football-wise. I know Nick's over here cooking up something to say to maybe add a little bit to the chef's kitchen. Maybe he wants to mention something. But those are some games that I looked at that you also might want to, bet on. Nick, do you have anything else you want to add?
So Kennesaw State is at Indiana this weekend. Indiana last week had some botched offensive opportunities against Old Dominion. Could have scored a lot more points, but didn't. If you look on the stat sheet, they dominated on the stat sheet, but had failed opportunities. Their new quarterback, who I'm hyped about, Fernando Mendoza, is still meshing in the new offense. I think he'll be fine as the season goes on. We got Kennesaw State +35.5. Now, take this with a grain of salt, but take this to your bookie or your sports app. Now, we don't use bookies anymore, do we, Drew?
No, unless you just want to be nostalgia and you want to call Uncle Phil, who's your Italian cousin, and
all my
or Uncle
bookies are
Tom.
either retired or in jail now, so I mostly just use sports gambling apps. But I want to throw this out there. I don't see Indiana covering 35.5 against Kennesaw State, who lost 9-10 against Wake Forest last week. Is Wake Forest a great team? Probably not, but they are a Power 4 team, and Kennesaw State did not go out there and get their teeth kicked in. So that tells me they've got some guys up front, and at least their coach is smart enough to not throw the ball every down and turn the ball over a lot. I don't see Indiana State covering 35.5 against Kennesaw State, even though I love my Hoosiers. I'm thinking about chucking a unit on Kennesaw State +35.5. I mean, Indiana's going to win the game, but that line is insane. I feel like that's a bait line because Indiana made the college football playoff last year. So Kennesaw State, it's like, oh, directional college fans have never heard of. So people assume they suck. I don't think Kennesaw State sucks. I think they come in there and make the Hoosiers work for it a little bit in the first half. So I got Kennesaw State +35.5 at Indiana against my Hoosiers. I was also going to say that Oregon-Oklahoma State game 28.5 point line is also kind of crazy. You might want to think about putting a unit on Oklahoma State. Their defense was dominant against Sisters of the Poor that they played week 1. I'm not saying that Oklahoma State's going to go in and win that game, but Oklahoma State's quarterback is pretty good, and Mike Gundy's not dumb by any stretch. He's a man. He's 40. Well, he might be closer to 50 now, but I think that there's a good chance that they go in and cover 28.5 against an Oregon team that, as we've talked about, has injuries and losses at wide receiver. They're going to be run heavy to play it safe if they need to be. So I don't mind Oklahoma State +28.5. I have not put a bet on it yet, but it's something to look at.
Yeah, and again, these are just some things. So me and Nick in the preview show, what we do a lot of times throughout the week is we're looking at where they're playing, where they're ranked, what's the spread, all that stuff. And then we highlight the games like we previously discussed. And then we also are going to do you guys a solid by if we find anything that we're going to gamble on because we can look at the spreadsheet as a whole, we'll then tell you and bring it in and wrap it in at the end, just like we did there. Well, Nick, I don't have anything else to say. Are we going to do a Midwest goodbye or what?
I mean, there's probably some other things we could talk about. You guys know what a Midwest goodbye is. You're from the Midwest, probably, if you're listening to this show. I mean, it's time to go home. It's last call at the bar, or, whatnot, what have you. But, couldn't we just stay a little longer and glad hand and maybe find something to chit chat about?
Yeah, it's always the start the car, stay in the car. What are you doing next week?
Get out of the
Let's
car. Hey,
even though we said, yeah.
Malik Washington for Maryland threw for 250 yards last week and 3 touchdowns. Maryland defense had 6 interceptions. I know this isn't the East Coast Blitz, but they are in the Big Ten. Thought I'd mention that.
Yeah. Sometimes we mention Maryland actually has a legitimacy of a football team, and what they're playing NIU this week, I believe, too. And NIU had struggles against Holy Cross, which is not Notre Dame, which they beat last year, so I thought that was very interesting. I was hoping NIU would do a little better, but looks like in the action they're kind of struggling for sure.
Shout out to Malik Washington. They're in the Big Ten, kind of, right?
They're kind of.
I'm going to go start my car now.
All right, and I'll say we're going to sign off on that. It's, again, a pleasure. Don't forget to like and subscribe at our TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere you see us. Subscribe, listen, request, mailbag, send us rivalry letters. I'm going to do a Midwest goodbye on the exit. Nah, I'm just kidding. Coach Drew signing off.
This has been another Midwest Goodbye, brought to you by the Midwest Blitz. It's not the first, and it won't be the last. See you, Coach Drew. You guys have fun this weekend.
See you, Coach Nick.